In October 1962, the world teetered on the very brink of nuclear annihilation. The Cold War, a prolonged period of geopolitical tension between the United States and the Soviet Union, escalated into a direct confrontation that threatened global peace. This period, known as the Cuban Missile Crisis, saw two superpowers locked in a deadly embrace, each with their finger mere inches from the nuclear trigger. The discovery of Soviet ballistic missiles in Cuba, a mere 90 miles from the shores of Florida, sent shockwaves through the American administration. This led to a 13-day standoff that is widely regarded as the closest the world has ever come to full-scale nuclear war. The streets were filled with fear, and families sat glued to their radios, waiting for any news that might signal the fate of the world. Amid this tension, ordinary people and leaders alike faced profound uncertainty. The air was thick with the possibility of catastrophe affecting every action and decision. It was a test of nerves, strategy, and human resolve, played out on a global stage where any misstep could have been catastrophic. The origins of the Cuban Missile Crisis can be traced back to several key events. The failed Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961, where American-backed Cuban exiles attempted to overthrow Fidel Castro's regime, precipitated a dramatic shift. Castro, feeling vulnerable to further U.S. aggression, turned to the Soviet Union for support. This led to Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev's decision to deploy nuclear missiles in Cuba as a deterrent. This deployment was not merely a strategic move by the Soviet Union but also a response to the presence of American Jupiter missiles in Turkey. The superpowers were thus engaged in a perilous game of military one-upmanship, extending their nuclear umbrella and testing the resolve of their adversaries. This military brinkmanship set the stage for the crisis that would follow. As tensions mounted, the geopolitical landscape of the Cold War became more volatile. The presence of nuclear weapons so close to American soil was unacceptable to President John F. Kennedy and his advisors, setting the stage for a confrontation that neither side could afford to lose. The stakes were monumental, not just for the superpowers involved, but for the entire world. President John F. Kennedy and Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev were the central figures in the unfolding drama of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Kennedy, young and relatively untested in global diplomacy, faced a challenge that would define his presidency. Khrushchev, seasoned but impulsive, sought to leverage Soviet nuclear capability to alter the strategic balance of the Cold War. The negotiations were a high-stakes game of chess. Secret communications, backdoor channels, and tense meetings were the order of the day. Each leader had to navigate domestic pressures, military advice advocating for aggression, and the immense responsibility of avoiding global nuclear war. Their decisions during these tense October days would be scrutinized and analyzed for generations. The resolution came through a combination of public posturing and private compromise. Kennedy agreed secretly to remove U.S. missiles from Turkey in exchange for the Soviet withdrawal of missiles from Cuba. This agreement, reached through frantic and covert diplomacy, allowed both leaders to save face while pulling the world back from the brink of nuclear war. Section 4. A World Forever Changed Legacy of the Crisis. The Cuban Missile Crisis had a lasting impact on Cold War dynamics. It highlighted the catastrophic potential of nuclear war, leading to a more cautious approach in future superpower confrontations. The crisis also spurred the establishment of direct communication links between Washington and Moscow, known as the Hotline, which aimed to prevent such crises in the future. The crisis reshaped international policy, emphasizing the importance of negotiation and diplomacy over outright confrontation. It also influenced public opinion, leading to a more pronounced skepticism towards government narratives and military solutions in international conflicts. This shift had profound implications for future U.S. foreign policy decisions. Moreover, the Cuban Missile Crisis served as a catalyst for arms control agreements, such as the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. These agreements were crucial in maintaining a relative peace during the volatile years of the Cold War. The crisis underscored the need for mechanisms that could help avert nuclear catastrophe and stabilize international relations. Section 5. Conclusion. Lessons from the brink. The Cuban Missile Crisis serves as a stark reminder of the razor-thin margins on which global peace sometimes hangs. It demonstrated the crucial role of leadership, diplomacy, and the willingness to engage in dialogue, even under the most extreme circumstances. The brinkmanship of October 1962 serves as a historical lesson on the dangers of nuclear proliferation and the importance of cautious, measured leadership in times of crisis. Reflecting on this event today, it is clear that the legacy of the Cuban Missile Crisis extends beyond its immediate resolution. It continues to inform contemporary international relations and the ongoing efforts to manage and mitigate global conflicts. As we move forward, the lessons from those tense 13 days must not be forgotten, serving as a guide for future generations in the pursuit of peace and stability.